in trouble. And every single day, of course, I'm gonna be like, all right, mom, yeah. Come home. Like I was the only kid in probably my elementary school for sure that every single day I had to get a letter sent home talking about my behavior. Usually you just get like a progress report, right? Halfway through the
Every
year or
day.
whatever. I'm the everyday kid. So
Yeah.
the teacher would have to write in it. I have to take it home. My mom would have to sign it. And we're doing this every single day. And so sometimes I would like read it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take this home to my mom. I act like this. But going back to the point about the story from my sixth grade teacher, is that was the first time I realized that when I step outside of my house, I don't just represent myself. Like I thought it was just about me, but you represent your name, you represent your legacy, you represent, your last name, your parents, your siblings, and so on and so forth. So I think I understood the responsibility of it's not just you in this world. And the thing that I didn't want to do is I didn't want my mom to be shamed or embarrassed. So it was at that moment where I was like, okay, moving forward, you represent your mom. So the whole saying, like, if your mother was in class with you, would you be doing this? Like, I now understood what that meant. And I don't know how, or at the time I didn't know how, but I told her, I said, Mom, I promise you, I'll give you tears of joy. Like, because at this moment you have tears of pain.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how. I just knew that we're going to start by changing my behavior and giving her something to be proud of me. Because there was times where I would come home and she'd say, why couldn't you be like such and such? Why can't you be like this friend, this friend, this friend? I'm like, oh my gosh, if I hear this one more time, I'm going to get crazy, right? Yeah. But now I look at my mom like, yeah, what about when you used to sit there and say, why couldn't you be like this friend? Do you want me to be like that friend?
Yeah, right? Now they've probably turned a different path too.
Right.
So when did football come in?
Football came in ninth grade. So I grew up a big baseball fan. And now, especially with the amount of money that they're starting to make, I'm like, I just picked the wrong sport. I picked the wrong sport. You can play forever and all that money's guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I had those big league dreams playing Major League Baseball. And I remember there was a time where I was playing on a traveling team and it was in 8th grade and I was on second base. Somebody hit a ball to right field. I come around third base, getting ready to score, and the catcher was like 3 feet in front of the home plate, and he caught the ball. And my natural instincts, I guess, was just to lower my shoulder and deliver a physical move. And I ran him over, and it was like at that moment where my soul was like, finally something physical, some contact. This is what we've needed. And we ended up losing that game, and then we flew home because it was a traveling team, and we were playing, I think, somewhere in like Oklahoma or Tennessee, either one of those two. And flew home, and like the next couple of days, my mom was asking me, okay, what are you going to do now that summer's over? She goes, you going to play football? I was like, nope, not playing football. She's like, why not? And I was like, because I'm going to get hurt. Like, everybody who plays football gets hurt. I was like, I'm not playing football. She goes, all right, well, you have 2 options. Either 1, you can get a job, or 2, you can play football. I was like, man, where's the sign-up sheet? Let's sign me up for football. And over the course of that summer, my high school coach had continuously called me like, hey, come out, play football, come out, play football. And I said, no, coach, I'm not going to play football. I'm a baseball player. And he's like, well, that's great, but baseball's in the spring, football's in the fall.
Yeah.
And so he's like the master negotiator. Like still to this day, he can like convince me to do anything. So I was like, all right, I'll come out and I'll just play just to get you off my back. And man, I remember going out playing football for that first year and I fell in love with it. And it was like now baseball kind of became the thing that I did in my spare time when football became my first true love.
Nice. And then you were a linebacker?
I was a linebacker. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But, when you learn football, at least for me, they talk about different gaps, the A gap, the B gap, the 2-hole, the 4-hole. And I'm thinking in my mind, how do these numbers and letters come into play? Like I'm looking and they're like, okay, between the guard and the center is the A gap. And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't know who the guard or the center is.
Yeah.
So we need to start there. And then just over, the course of time I had some really good high school coaches who cared. And they also knew my situation at home. So they took me under their wings and just mentored me into becoming, wanting to become better. And then I had all that built up anger and frustration from childhood that I was able to utilize that on the football field where now, instead of getting kicked out of class or getting kicked out of school, all that physical activity is being, applauded. People wanted me to be it, and they encouraged it. And I was like, wait, I get to be physical, aggressive, and mean, and you like it? Oh, yeah. let's do it.
Exactly. Now you're able to channel this into something. And
Yeah.
that's something that you love.
Right.
To be able to play a sport as a career is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, most people would kill and die to have that.
Yeah.
And then you just excelled in this and then move forward. So not only did you play for the Trojans, now you go you get the phone call to play in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
Tell me about that phone call.
10 years ago. It was probably 10 years ago this weekend coming up.
Yeah.
And it was back then they had 2 days. So the first round of the draft, first and second round. No, they had like the first, second, and third round was day 1, and then 4 through 7 was day 2. And I remember the first day, I knew I wasn't going to get drafted in the first day. So I flew up to Northern California, spent time with my friends and family. And then it was like on the second day where at any moment at the start of the draft, they could call. And so people were calling my phone. They were calling the house phone. We'd pick up like, hello, 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 who's this? And then it'd just be like a family member. Like, did Thomas get drafted yet? We're like, oh my gosh. And then my cell phone would ring, and then I'd get excited, especially if it was a number that I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
If it was like, 208, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, looking. I'm like, hello? And then it was another family member or a friend. And I'm like, man, if you guys don't stop playing on my dang phone, stop. Because it was so frustrating, because here it is, you're waiting for the call, and then the call happens, but it's not the call you want.
Yeah, and the call of a lifetime.
Right. And so finally when the phone rang, and it was a 904 area code, which is the Jacksonville area code, it was Coach Jack Del Rio, and then also the general manager and I think the owner who was on the call, and they just asked me, like, would you want to be a Jacksonville Jaguar? And I'm thinking, like, you're asking me, like, what? Yes, please, anybody.
Like,
I don't care.
Question, really?
Yeah. And so they said welcome, and so after that, I hugged my family, and then, your name comes across the screen and shows your pick, what team you're going to. And at that moment, because as a fan up until that point, I thought, oh, as soon as you get that, you get your money. Like, as soon as, like, your money's in the mail. But it wasn't. That was in April, and I don't think I got paid until, like, July or something like that, which that's a whole nother story. But just to have that accomplishment is tremendous. I mean, you think about, for me, I was 7 years old. I went to an Oakland A's baseball game with my mom. And during the game, we're sitting up in the stands, and I'm just sitting there looking the field, and I'm mesmerized that all of these people, it was like, 30,000 people who come to an Oakland A's baseball game, and they watch 9 people plus a batter, some umpires, do their thing. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to come to a place where time stops for the people who are watching. And like on the ride home, I remember driving home with my mom, and I go, Mom, I want to do that. She goes, do what? I was like, I want to play professional sports. And then at 7 years old, to have the life that I've had, and then at 23 for the dream to become a reality is something, like, it's tremendous. Like, when people tell me, like, or ask me all the time, like, what is it about you that allowed you to get to that point in your life where you believe that you could? And I said, because I was dumb enough to believe my mom when she said I can be anything I want to be. And it was true. Like, my mom is, she's not a liar. Like, well, you can be anything. Okay. And I did it. And so having that reassurance and having that confidence in me just constantly strived me. Because I tell people all the time now, we live in this generation where people want to talk about haters, or like people who doubt me and so on and so forth. Like, there's another side of the coin where the other side of the coin is the people who believe in you. Like my mom, my coaches, my closest friends. Like, not only is it about proving some people wrong, but it's about proving the others right. Like, we're equally as responsible to both sides. And so that's why the focus, like, you get away from the naysayers, okay, but you got to keep a couple of them, because I kept my 6th grade teacher in my mind all the time.
Of course, those are motivators.
Yeah, when I didn't want to wake up and work out, when I didn't want to continue to eat, when I didn't want to run sprints, or when I wanted to give up and quit because I wasn't getting the amount of playing time I thought I deserved. Yeah. But I always kept him in the back of my mind. I was like, either he can be right or wrong, and the decisions and choices that I make are going to be the outcome and the determining factor of that fate.
Yeah. Have you seen him since?
I don't think so. I sent him a book. I always sent him I probably sent him a signed jersey.
Nice.
I sent him a whole bunch of everything. I never got a thank you note, but
really?
I mean, maybe he didn't get it.
Did you write in it like?
Of course. Thank you so much. I'm glad to say that you were wrong, but at the end of the day, I mean, having that motivation, I don't think I would have continued to persist like I did. Yeah. Because from the time that I heard it to the time, I mean, I remember at 18 years old, I whispered in my mom's ear when I graduated high school, I said, we did it. And now I'm going to college on a full athletic scholarship free, which I don't know how I would have been able to attend or go to college if it hadn't been for that opportunity. And then I graduate college. We did it again. And then I get drafted and I say we did it again. So those moments of constantly proving him wrong and then also, you know, validating my mom and the other people who's always supported me, like that's like a dream come true for me to be able to gift that to my mom, because there was like the first 12 years might have been rough. Oh man, it might have been rough for her.
You were just setting her up for now.
I know it. Right? I know it. But
she
oh my
doesn't
goodness,
appreciate as much as we do.
No, I gave her a couple more gray hairs. But
a little stress.
Man,
a little stress.
Man.
It's amazing when people, you know, say you can't do something. I've always been that type of person. And we talked about it a little bit before the show. And things that fuel me, it was people are like, when you go to California, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's so many beautiful people, so many in the fitness industry. And I wasn't even really in entertainment. I just kind of, you know, scratched the surface in Canada. And it's funny how I became into my position because someone asked me to MC a fitness show. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do it. I'm so nervous. What am I going to say? And people are like, what are you talking about? You're nervous. Like, you're a fitness model. You do this, you do that. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And people are like, yeah, you probably can't. And you're going to get nervous and this will happen, that'll happen. What if you trip? And all these things were going through my mind. And I was walking up the stage and it was like slow motion. Everything was like, I remember my heels kind of dragging on the step. And I was like, oh my God, don't. I was like, you can do this. And then I felt my dress kind of like teetering behind. I was like, nope, stay focused.
Right.
And I got in there and it was the funniest situation because everything was in Korean. So all the competitors for this competition were in Korean. So their bios were in Korean, handwritten, which I couldn't read anyway. It wasn't legible.
Oh, my goodness.
So I went up there and I'm like, what am I going to say? I don't know what these people do or what. So I just started talking and making up stuff. I made up everything. I don't even know what I said. I was like, and this and that. And she's I don't know, she's like a equestrian rider. And I was like, and the people were like, yeah, equestrian rider, awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. And I remember leaving and people filmed it. And they were like, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
I brought them, it was like, it looked like a script. I brought them the bios of everybody and I showed it. And they go, that's what you read from? And I go, yeah. What else was I gonna do?
Right.
And that was my first big hit into kind of Hollywood. But I thought, you know what? I was like, I can't do this. And I was like, I can do this. Yeah. And you just kind of like flow with it.
Yeah. And there's got to be. I think there's a moment where it's either fish or cut bait. I was gonna say the other version of that, but it's fish or cut bait where. Like either you are or you aren't. Yeah. Like and like, but hurry up and decide and choose. Where I think for me, a lot of the times, I think that the times when we're the most fearful is where we get to show ourselves how much courage we actually have inside of us. Yeah. Where a lot of times, like before games, I would be extremely nervous. Now, public speaking, I've done over 150 talks, and I still get like anxious and I still get excited. Where nerves, I'm finding out too, like. Psychologically or neurologically, is that nerves and so fear and excitement register both the same. It's just how we declare and name them. Yeah, it's literally the exact same thing in our brains. And so if we can just change the narrative and say, okay, this is not fear, this is actually excitement, that I'm getting ready to have the time of my life. Like you thinking about times, and I don't do this, but from what people tell me, I don't ride roller coasters. I'm scared of them. Like that's really? Legitimately like I can't do it. But when they tell me, I'm like. To me, it's fear, but to them, it's excitement. They're like, man, this is so hyped. I'm going to Disneyland. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. And to me, I'm like, I would be sweating. Like there's not too many things that you could convince me to get on a roller coaster, but it's only because of the way that it's registered in my mind. Of course. So a lot of us have the same thing, whether it's, professionally, personally, we have this phobia of, talking to somebody, even talking to somebody like, well, what are they going to say? What if they make fun of me? And it's like, you've put all of this fear in front of you where it really robs you of the experience in the moment. Like this last year, I went to Australia by myself. And I remember as soon as I landed, I was so full of fear and anxiety of like, oh my gosh, you don't know anybody here. You don't know what you're going to do. Like, but then it was like at the moment it clicked of like, oh my gosh, this is about to be an adventure. Exactly. This is about to be like such a cool adventure that I get a chance to come back and share and talk about it. But initially it was like that overwhelming fear that almost paralyzed me to not even want to like step off the plane and
Yeah.
get off the plane and to actually have the wonderful, unique experience that I'll have forever.
Absolutely. And it's the adrenaline and the receptors, and it's hitting the nervous system. And it's all a mindset.
Yeah.
It's a choice. It's a power of choice. And it's what we tell ourselves. It's
Yeah.
positive affirmations and telling us we can or we can't. So you can do whatever you tell yourself.
So true.
You know, if I don't want to go do something or go on an adventure, move to California, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. But is it going to be a positive outcome or a negative outcome? Well, it's going to be what I make it. 'Cause
Right.
I'm going to be here to do what I came to do and do what I love to do. And, you know, it's just a power of choice every day. And every time we wake up, like, we don't realize a lot of people, I ask everybody every day, like, what do you want to do? And they're like, what do you mean? What do I want to do? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you want to do?
Right.
It's like, why do you not know what you want to do? What is your purpose? Why are you here? What is your driving force? And what are you going to do to change and grow and be better?
So what gives you that mindset? Like what examples do you have that allow you to have that mindset as opposed to it being phony? Like it seems like it's authentic and that it's real.
Yeah.
And so probably you've had examples of your life where this is your truth as opposed to you just read it in a book and now you're just kind of trying it on for size. What are your examples of in your life that you've had experience of success?
So, you know what, where examples usually come from experiences and trauma, or experiences and wonderful experiences. It just depends where they surface from. So a lot of mine actually came from a lot of trauma. So a lot of different experiences that allowed me to grow as an individual. So again, we have the power of choice. I can be a victim or I can be a victor.
Right.
So I have two choices. I can sit back and say, you know what, poor me. I can't get through this. I can't do it. Look what you did. Look what they said. Look what they did. And I can't move forward. And again, like you said, that paralyzed feeling.
Yeah.
You can either be paralyzed or you can break out of it and just be free. And I want to be free. So I know that I have the power of choice to have the best life every single day. So when I get up, it's being grateful. I live in gratitude every single day. When I wake up, at least 5 things before I leave my bed. 5 things. What are you grateful for? If you're living in love and you're not living in fear, we have a choice. We have one or the other. You can't live in fear and love at the same time.
Right.
So when you be love and you are love, you can't be fearful.
Right.
So those
they
are
can't
the
they can't coexist in the same place.
They don't coexist.
Right.
They can't. So when I'm, sending off loving feelings to people and being compassionate and being caring and loving and kind, that to me is what fuels me to be a better person because I get something from it. I get love back. I reciprocate it, and why would I not want to do that?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Where when we actually, it's funny that you say coming from a place of gratitude, because inside of that, I think there's an understanding and a sense of abundance.
Yeah.
Where for us, we will have fear and we have a scarcity. It's like all of this is mine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give, right? The same thing with love, where we come from a place of love, giving love. We know that love begets more love. And so it has to come back in return, where shifting the mindset, if I go from scarcity and I just keep everything and I don't give anything, then I'm literally blocking myself off from receiving anything else or more. But if we go, I have abundance. I have abundance of love. I have abundance of time. I have abundance of money. I have abundance, like just everything.
Yeah.
The more of something that we want, the best way to get it is by giving it.
Absolutely. You got to give it away to keep it.
Right.
And I tell everybody that all the time. And they go, well, when you don't have a lot of stuff, like, I've been through some stuff since I've been here. And it's like, what is success to you? So success to me isn't having 10 houses and, Maserati and all these things. That's nice. And I would like that. And I will have that. But the thing is that's not what success is to me. Like we talked about, abundance. It's about who's in my life.
Right.
Who do I have in my life? Who's around me? Who's surrounding me? And I have a very small circle. And those people that are in my life bring me more abundance and more love, and it's healthy, and they're reciprocal relationships.
Right.
And that's the thing about people. Like we always want these things, like you say, materialistic things, like how much can we get and how much can we do, and taking a vacation from your life.
Yeah.
Like I have the life that I don't want to take a vacation from. And so every day it's like I am living in the best country in the world.
Yeah.
I love Canada too. Sorry, guys. But, you know, to me, it's like, I mean, I love being here, and I love all these things, and I love meeting the people that I meet, and life is like full of joy and happiness.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And going through life experiences like what you went through, going back to playing football for you, you know, having a neck injury, having all your dreams completely, you know, you can look at it as shattered and taken away at that moment. You had a neck injury in 2011 that ended your career in the NFL.
Right.
And I mean, how did you get through that? How did you go, I'm going to get through this and I'm going to change my life?
It wasn't easy. Like I would love to sit here and say, oh, I just kept, you know, this mindset of positivity and the grass is greener and just, you know, kind of think positively. But it was tough. It was tough because I put my whole identity into the game of football. And when that left me, I literally died.
Yeah.
Because, you know, not understanding the difference between what I did and who I was, it made things very, very, very complicated. And so for me, it was trying to identify a new dream, try to identify a new path and a new goal, because it was, if you found it once and you've done it once, you can do it again. So just basically being able to copy and paste my feeling of what is it that gets me like so excited in the morning that I can't wait to do. Same way with football. And I was lucky enough at the time that I met two individuals who now are a part of my business, and they were there for the support. They were there to remind me of, like, I wasn't just a really good football player. I was a great person that just so happened to play football. And so they were able to help me. They held up a mirror and said, look, this is what we see. Like, we see greatness inside of you. Like, that just your jerseys and your cleats might not continue to move or be on a field anymore. But now all of a sudden, instead of changing the game, you can change lives. And so I didn't see that because I have so, you know, tunnel vision on playing the game of football that I wasn't able to kind of step outside of myself and look and go, what are you good at? What else are you good at? What transferable skills do you have? And what is Thomas's real legacy going to be? The football legacy is over, but what is Thomas's real legacy going to be? And I think without those two people, and then two going through doing the personal work on what did football represent for me, like tons of therapy, because it was literally I lost my best friend. Like, I lost the closest thing to me ever. And when I first started playing football, I was like, oh, great. Okay, I've had people have left me out of my life. I can always have football. So as long as I can always have football, I'll be fine. Until football left me and I couldn't do those same things, I had to reevaluate my life, and then also understand that I might not be able to play football anymore, but I can take what football taught me into the rest of my life. And that's why I love public speaking. That's why I love helping people in a way of like coaching them, helping them see their dreams. Because the first question I always ask people is, are you living the life that you have to, or the life that you want to?
I love that. I love that. What are the most frequent answers that you get on that question? Because being a life coach, I ask a lot of the same questions.
Well, I mean, most of the time people don't understand the difference.
Yeah.
They think that the life that they're living is the one that they have to. And so since it's the one that they have to, they might as well want to.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, okay, if you won the lottery today, what would you do?
Yeah.
Like, if you won the lottery today, and I mean, I'm sure, you know, you're going to want to go on a vacation or something, but when you come down from, like, let's just say, you know, after about a month, would you change anything about your life? Like, you might have driven a different car. You might buy a bigger house. You might move out of your neighborhood. But I'm saying, as far as on a day-to-day basis, are you still going to do this line of work? And are you still going to be this type of influence in your community and in the world? And most people, hands down, say no.
Yeah.
So it basically goes back to the whole point of, are you living or are you existing? Because there's two different ways to go about this life. Like, existing means if you died right now, nothing in your like neighborhood or your family or your friends or the place that you work would change, right? That's existing. But if you're living, then people are going to mourn, not because of the death, but because of your presence. And that's where we have to get to the place, I think, in order to live a fulfilled life, not a great life or a successful one, but a fulfilled life. Because when you live a fulfilled life, it's every moment might not always be the best moments and the highs of the highs, but you wouldn't change anything about what you're doing. Like I was on my way over here and, LA traffic, like people are getting pissed off at just like yellow, like the light was yellow. I couldn't turn because there's another car in front of me and people want to get mad and upset, but not putting myself in the situation and understanding that this stems from something completely different. Like,
absolutely.
If people are living an authentic and organic life of like love and appreciation and really loving what they're doing, they're happy, like genuine happiness. Like, how many times you see people be like, man, what's up with you? Like, how are you always happy? And it's like, man, because my perspective on life, like I get to live life. I don't have to. Like there's people who are dying. I think it's like 89,000 people die every single day. And those are people who had dreams just like you and I. And those are people who had, future endeavors to do things and they don't get a chance to do it anymore. And so if we're going to do this life thing, like, let's do it right. Let's do it on our terms and let's make sure that we don't have any regrets. Because they always say youth is wasted on the young. And I'm not trying to be one of those people.
No way. What motivates you? What inspires you to get up every day and be you?
I'm answering the question from football every single day of, can I be just as good in this part of life as I was in that part? And I'm answering the question of, am I Thomas, the good football player? And can I become more than that every single day? And if I don't know if I'll ever find out the answer, but those are the things that constantly push me because it's a scoreboard that really can't add up until I figure I die, until I'm out of here. Because I don't know the answer. I feel like I can be. But that's what gets me up every single day. That's what had me up at 4:45 today. Like I could have slept and I would have loved to, but I got to get my workout. I got to get to the meetings. I got to go talk to the students. I got to go to USC. I'm here today with you. But every single day is like a moment is another opportunity to impact someone's life. It's, funny that you said your mom told you about the importance of impacting people and doing right by them, where my mom told me, as soon as I called her, I remember I called her, she was at work, and I told her, like, I signed with the Jaguars. I told her about my signing bonus, told her how much it was. And she said, that's nice, but never forget that the reason why you're here is because of the effect that you have on mankind.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that, because it's not about the things that we accumulate. Like, I can get a bigger house, I can get a bigger car, but at the end of the day, does anybody else outside of you know your greatness?
It's on such a deeper spiritual level. And, it's so nice being able to share with my viewers and listeners, because a lot of people have this idea a football player is a football player. And I'm going to say I'm real. And it's like, okay, he's just a jock or he's this or that. But on a spiritual and a different level of, what we're talking about, the pursuit of greatness, permission to dream.
Yeah.
I mean, I know your stories are in here and I'm dying to read these. I'm super excited. But the thing is showing that there's more to life, and they're showing that there's more to life and to be more. And what you're teaching people and coaching people through is not only we can sit in this life that's maybe a mundane life. I call it the box life. You drive your box car, you go to your box job, you go home to your box husband and wife or whatever, and you eat the same thing, and wife cooks you dinner, you guys go to bed and you read and do whatever. And it's like, I mean, is that really, like you said, existing, or are we just living? So we're teaching people how to really live that life and maximize things. Right. So there's a lot of guys out there that have been injured. They've played ball before. Yeah. And what would you share with them? Because I know a lot of guys, they've been taken out of the game because of knee injuries or concussions and all these different things. And what would you share with them to, really give them those words of wisdom and that encouragement to let them know that there's something else out there for them? Well,
I think the first like line of business, one, being a male in an extremely we'll call it like the modern day gridiron, like just the warrior gladiator, being in that world, there's not enough space for vulnerability. And I can't be authentic. And so I have to be a machine in order to do this line of work, when most of the time, deep down inside of me, I'm petrified. To run into another human being as hard as I can, fast as I can for 4 quarters. Like, one, being a male where it's not cool to share your feelings and to say, I'm afraid, I'm scared. I mean, one time I got cut from a team a week later after I told them I was going to have to leave because I might have to go bury my grandfather. Like a week later, nothing happened, nothing changed. Like the coach told me, he said, I hope you can stay because I would hate for you to leave or lose out on this opportunity you worked hard for.
Wow.
So like having that experience of not being able to be authentic, not being able to show emotions and to say, look, my wife might leave me and I'm supposed to come out and be this machine or this robot and perform. I don't want to play football any longer because I don't enjoy the game like I did, but I'm too afraid to step away from it. So I'm willing to put my physical and mental health on the line. So I would say the first step is you have to become humble. And inside of saying that, you'll also become vulnerable. Yeah. To say, I don't know. I don't know, because all of us, most of us that have gone into the NFL we're kids at 21. You'll see it tomorrow. There's going to be a kid 20, 21, 22 years old who's getting drafted, but now all of a sudden he's become Superman in his family. Now he has to be bear all of the financial situations. Yeah. Most of the decisions come through him. All of like family plans and, you know, can you fly this person out and can they come to a game and can you talk to the cousin and can you talk to my brother? Like all of this is coming at you. And you you're literally not able to be who you've always been is just a kid and have fun. And so now all of a sudden real life issues come at you. And I think there's a moment where we have to be authentic and vulnerable and real enough with ourselves and with others. And by saying, I don't know. And I need somebody to help me guide, navigate, figure this thing out because we hold stuff in because since we were kids, we've been told like, men don't cry, rub some dirt on it. Like you hurt or you injured. Like you just figure it out later. Where there were so many issues that I had bottled up inside of me from a little boy that I had to deal with at 27, 28 years old for the first time. Yeah. And I didn't have a physical outlet to be able to exert it. So now it just bared its weight on me over and over and over until the point where I literally was like, I can't any longer. Like, I can't do this. And was like one of the times where I contemplated suicide not because I was going to do it, but because I just thought about what would my world be like if I no longer existed. It would be so much easier. Yeah. So I think the humble aspect, and then by finding the humility, finding out who you truly are. The game of football is so much different than watching basketball playoffs right now. A guy can score 40 points tonight and we'll know who he is tomorrow. A guy can score 5 touchdowns pretty much in the first regular season game and you won't be able to see his face if he doesn't do an interview. And so we're always hidden behind a mask. Yeah. Like we're literally hidden behind a mask. Put your face mask and helmet on. Yeah. And so we're not able to really truly experience who we are. We're always the number. We're always the position. But we're never the person. Yeah. And so I think sports have done us a disservice coming up through the ranks of let's focus on the athlete, not the person. So for the transitioning athletes, I would say that's it. Like you have to find out who you are and be real with yourself in the mirror and go, I don't know. Because for the most part, we've never been given that opportunity.
How did you find your identity again?
I would say there's an old quote that I love. It's how much would you be worth if you lost all of your money and all of your possessions? And when somebody asked me that question, I was taken aback by it because for so long I'd always been this title or I'd been connected to something greater than me. And I had to sit back and go, real is real. Just say I would be worth nothing because my self-worth was wrapped up in that. Yeah. And everything that I thought I was, popularity, the fame, the status, where I had to be real with myself and say, I'm not Jack, you know what, without this. Because at least I went down to the bottom. That was my rock bottom. And I was able to start building from there and going like, and funny you asked that because as soon as I got done playing and like, I remember like I would meet people or go on dates and stuff and people would ask me, what do you do for fun? And I didn't have an answer. I didn't. And it was so embarrassing to me in the moment because I'd never experienced myself or my life outside of football.
Wow.
Where if you would ask me, while I was playing, what do you do for fun? Oh man, I work out and I train and I watch film and I, do push-ups and run sprints and eat protein and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But outside and away from it, I had nothing. I had no excitement outside of my life. Where going through the trial and errors and saying, oh my gosh, this is who I thought I was, but this is who I actually am. And so having those understandings of starting at rock bottom, saying, I don't know, and then exploring trial and error. You know what? I really don't like football. Like people ask me all the time, like you should like go into sports and coaching. I'll be like, I don't really watch football. Like I don't.
That's funny. A lot of ex NFL players say that. So you don't actually have a team or watch football?
I mean, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But true story is I was at an event for the Super Bowl and I didn't watch the halftime. I didn't watch, and it wasn't because I was trying not to. It was because at the event I was socializing. I was just connecting with new people. What was the fun event?
I think we were at the same party.
Yeah, it was the one downtown, and I just remember thinking like it was like in the third quarter, and my buddy Chris Hale, he was like, "Hey man, what's up? Let's watch the fourth quarter." I was like, "I'm gonna beat traffic. I'm going home. Like bye."
Yeah.
Like and because I mean, let's be honest, the game has taken so much away from us as athletes that we've given it our all. And so when you're done playing, you want to experience other things. You want to explore other things. I don't need to watch the game. I was there, right?
Yeah.
Like only thing changes is the names and the faces, but the jerseys remain the same. The numbers remain the same and the game's still the same. And so that's something that too, I encourage all the former athletes, who transition, like step away, like go do something else on a Sunday or whenever your game is played. Go and look what is it like to ride the bike. Like I ride my bike up and down the boardwalk all the time, like on the Sunday, and it's while the game, and it's like that moment while you're watching other people go to bars and hangouts to watch the game, and you're finding out what you want to do. Like I don't want to be who I'm projected to be. I want to be who I am.
Nice. How fun was it when you got to explore and actually do things?
Yeah.
And find out you like different things.
Wait, it was cool because you're taking your new self out. This is a new part of you that you've never experienced. And so stuff that maybe my friends at 18, 19 years old were doing, like I'm doing for the first time. And like, I'm calling up people like, isn't this cool? Like, and they're like, we've done it all the time. Like,
you're like, we've been doing that for 10 years.
Yeah. But I mean, it's, everybody has their own clock. Everybody has their own gauge. Like for me, I was so wrapped up and focused on sport where I don't have any regrets in playing football. Like now I don't wish that I could go back and play, and people ask me, do you miss it? And there's no way, like, because you give something your all, you'll never look back and regret. And so like, do I regret a little bit of putting myself maybe being too involved and being wrapped up in the athletic bubble for so much? Yeah, a little bit, but I would rather have the regret of, man, I missed out a little bit on that time, but now I have freedom. So I can do it all the time as much as I want to now, as opposed to when I was playing, like there was still restrictions and things that prevented me from being able to, live my best life.
Of course. Let's talk about your motivational speaking.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So you've been doing that for some time now.
2012. So September 6th, 2012 was my first speaking engagement in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Amazing. So how did you decide what you were going to start speaking about?
Oh my gosh.
Did you play with that a little bit?
No, it's the old saying of you build the plane while you're flying it. And where I true story is about a month before I retired, I went to Orange County, like it was the Orange County Hall of Fame, and I did a speaking engagement for a group of high school athletes. And I don't know, I think I wrote down a couple of notes to go speak. And I talked, and just like anything else, like when you're an athlete, you kind of have these obligations to go speak to the community and speak to kids and speak to a whole bunch of different organizations. And it's like nothing. It's like water.
Yeah.
And I did it. And that afterwards, the person who invited me to do it and the host of the event, like she paid me like one of the greatest compliments of like, wow, you spent a lot of time doing it. You put in a lot of effort. And the kids really took to you and took a lot of notes. And I didn't think anything of it. And so the word had gotten out to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, that, hey, this guy could speak. He has a great story, has a great message, and some really nice takeaways. And so they called me probably a week after I did that talk. And like, no lie, I'm like, look, I'll come talk to you guys, but it's not going to be until after the Super Bowl. Like that's every year, every time I go back to play, I'd always say, you know, the whole positive thinking thing. And like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you guys till after the Super Bowl. And about a month later, that's when I suffered my neck injury for the second time, same thing. And then I was forced to retire. Is I called them up and I said, hey, I know I said we weren't going to talk until the Super Bowl, but is the offer still on the table? They're like, yeah, we'll fly you out. So September 6th, I went out there and I talked to the Wounded Warriors units about transition.
Nice.
I talked to a couple other divisions in the Army there. And just to come to find out that this is when I knew I could make an impact. I don't know how big of an impact, but I knew I could make an impact, is that there was this guy, I mean, he was probably like 6'6", like 250 pounds, big old dude who was sitting in the audience. And I remember when he was making eye contact with me that I, for some reason, thought he was like not interested in what I was saying. He was going to beat me up or do something to me afterwards. Like he just had this look in his intense look in his eyes. And I was like, well, I don't want to make eye contact with him anymore. And so I get done and finish. Like I'm crying because like I had to be real and vulnerable for one of the first times after I got done playing. And then there's a line of people who were greeting me and saying, hey, you know, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. And he comes up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude's going to do something. So I'm like, have my head down low like this. And I'm like, hey, thank you, sir, for serving. And he said, thank you so much for coming and speaking to us, because he said, there's a lot of people in this world who I don't know that I'm fighting for, but for someone like yourself, I appreciate so much, and you're the kind of person that I'm fighting for. Like when he said that, I was like, done. Like, because having that kind of impact on people just by your words and just by your experience, your life, it kind of validates your purpose. Like I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just here. Like I'm here for a reason to positively and, you know, impact people. And looking back at it, that's why I had to transition the way that I did, because adversity makes way for greatness. And that's what, like, that's how I got started.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And when we're in it, and this is the thing, when we're in it, and so say your neck injury happened that day, your world's collapsed. And, you know, your dreams, you feel as if your dreams are gone. And
so
that's
true.
it, the end of your life. I've been in these situations before where you're absolutely at your rock bottom and you think like there's nowhere to turn. You don't know what you're going to do. And that's why speaking to people and sharing your truth and being vulnerable and being transparent is such an amazing gift, because you're able to breathe hope and life back into them. Again, you know, you talking, someone would look at you, the average person would look at you and say, this guy's got it all together. He's sharp. He dresses great. He's a good looking guy. He's smart. You know, he's got it all together. And they would never know that you've been in a place, and they wouldn't know your story.
No.
That you've been in the place that you were.
Right.
Where you had that breaking moment where you did want to take your life. Because you really didn't know, you know, we're in despair and we don't know what to do.
Yeah. No, that's the thing, is what inspired me to write my first book is because when I would go and I would talk and I would give these lectures or, you know, MC events, everybody would always assume like that's easy for you to say. You're in the NFL. Or that's easy for you to say because you're at USC, you won national championships, you got drafted. Like they don't see the scars. Like nobody really sees the pain because we're dressed, right? And because the way that we look, but like emotional scars are some of the worst.
Absolutely.
We feel them the most, but you can't see them. So they just assume. And I remember at one of the last talks that I did before I wrote the book or started writing it, somebody was like, but I'll never make it because you haven't lived my life. And that was like, okay, well, now it's time to bring the cat out of the bag because no one fell to the top of the mountain, and everybody has choices. Whether you started with $1 in your pocket, $100 in your pocket, you started in the best shape of your life, in the worst shape of your life, like everybody's forced to start somewhere, but nobody's guaranteed to finish. And having that same type of understanding led me to writing the book and saying, look, like you see me this way. This isn't what it looked like when I started. And it hasn't always been like that. Like even the fact of being biracial and growing up in a predominantly white community, like now I'm grateful for it because I'm able to, intertwine and people really don't know what the hell I am. So then it's like, well, he's cool because nobody knows what the hell he is. But kind of being able to play, especially now today, like what we're experiencing, like racially, being able to fit and listen to both sides. And then literally when people, because like I was pulled as a kid, like, are you with them or are you with me? Or are you with them or are you with us? And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, I like both of you guys, but I'm both. So I guess which makes me neither. And having that, like that was a struggle. Like what hair products do you put in your hair as a kid? Like my mom didn't know. We tried for everything.
You're like, this is not
like
working.
They didn't like lotion, leave-in conditioner, shampoo, just brush it, like water, nothing. And so like having those struggles allowed for me to get to the place that I am now. And then now when I can relate to somebody isn't because of the great things I've done. It's because of the hardships that I've had to endure to get through it.
Absolutely. And that's where we grow. And that's the thing. People have no idea, and we don't know other people's stories. And that's why it's so great and beautiful when we can share these things with other people. I actually get to speak it to a whole bunch of women on Saturday, and super excited. And one of my great friends and my sensei in martial arts, she's like, well, what are you going to talk about? She keeps asking me, and I go, I'll know what I'm going to talk about when I get there. Yeah. And she goes, well, you're not going to write anything down or prepare? And I was like, I prepared my whole life for this. I said, I've already prepared. I've already been through the experiences, and whatever people need at that time is what I'm going to provide. Yeah. Because I don't know what you need. I don't know what this woman needs. I don't know what she needs. I don't know what she needs to hear. Yeah. But I'll feel it. And
but I think that's I don't mean to cut you off. I think that's such a good thing, especially for your listeners and people who are following you, because what you just said is one of the greatest life lessons that I learned probably in the last 2 years is that we think that we have to get prepared. Yeah. But at the same time, there's, like you said, you are prepared for this opportunity. I can't do it because I have to get prepared. I can't do it because I have to get prepared. I can't do it because I got to get prepared. And this opportunity, you've been prepared for it. Like everything that you've gone through in your life is preparing you for this opportunity. Yeah. And so when you walk into that room, you are prepared instead of, I got to get prepared and I got to get prepared, where so many people will tire themselves out, lose focus, lose determination and discipline and be like, man, bump it, I'm out.
Yeah, that self-talk, that self-chatter, that's what keeps us down, keeps us stuck. And that's what actually one of the topics, how to be unstuck. Because the thing is like, again, we can keep telling ourselves that. I have clients that come to me and they go, well, I'm going to wait till I get in better shape before I go to the gym with you. And so I go, okay, let's break that down a little bit. And then I want you to explain it to me a little bit more, because that to me is that we're not going to go with that. Yeah. So let's just, tell me a different story. Right. And so then they'll go, well, I just want to lose a few pounds. So you're going to wait to lose a few more pounds that you're probably going to gain so you can get to the gym, so you can look a certain way for other people and not work on your health.
Oh my gosh.
Is that what I hear you saying? And then they go, well, and no, think about it, because you're that amount of time that you could be working on yourself and preparing yourself for greatness that is wasted because of fear. Right. And, it's one thing, and discipline is my word. I love that word. People always ask me, how do you stay in great shape all the time? Even through adversity. I was homeless at one point in my life, living here in California after a breakup, and I still maintained my health and wellness. Not for vanity reasons, but because my health and my wellness is so important to me. And because without that, we have nothing. Right. So if we're healthy from the inside out, we can work on the outside, and the exterior is nothing. Again, it's emotionally and spiritually how we're balanced. It's the key to life, being balanced. Right. And no matter what we go through, we're going to get hit with a lot of stuff. We're going to have obstacles and adversity, but it's the thoughts that we tell ourselves every single day. Yeah. Am I going to do this? Am I enough? Can I do this? Right. Can I do this? Yeah, of course I can do this. Yeah. Of course I can do this. My client said to me this morning, he goes, well, if I can lose the weight. I said, pardon? He goes, when I lose the weight. And I was like, thank you. There it is. And just keep walking.
But it's the difference between, and one of my mentors just recently told me, he said, Thomas, in order to get to the place that you've decided that you want to go, you're going to have to start talking to yourself instead of listening to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's and people don't see the distinction is that when we listen to ourselves, negative stuff gets in. But when we just start talking, like Muhammad Ali is one of the greatest examples of that, because most of the time when he used to sit there and project and used to make all of these like I'm going to beat you in this round. I'm going to beat you in this. Like, he literally talked himself into believing it. And then he went and trained and he did it.
Yep.
Because if it weren't for some of the times that he said, all right, I'm going to make this prediction, I'm going to do this, then he wouldn't have trained as hard. He wouldn't have been as focused. He wouldn't have been as accountable.
Yep.
And so he's the one who I think just exemplifies like positive self-talk. Like, he said it so much, but people were like, well, he's arrogant or he's conceited. It's like, no, he was talking to himself. You just happened to be listening.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all how it's transcribed. The biggest thing is always giving yourself permission to be great.
Yeah.
And I love this because you have mine's permission to be great, permission to dream.
Yeah.
Where do we find these books?
So you can find them on my website, www.thomasrwilliams.com, or you can find them on Amazon. And The Relentless Pursuit of Greatness and Permission to Dream are both there.
Pick these up, you guys. I cannot wait to read them. Again, you know, it's so great exploring deeper than just, you know, ex-former football player. You've got a phenomenal story. I know that you're coaching these people to be such great, phenomenal human beings.
Yeah.
And where do we find you on social media again?
Social media, you can go to Mr. MR_TRW for Instagram.
Okay.
For Twitter, it's T_Williams56. And then also Facebook is TRW Incorporated. Yep. Is that it?
Okay.
Is that,
I think
is that
so.
the
I think we covered it. And I think they're all over mine
forget.
too, so you'll see them on there
Yeah.
too. Okay, one last thing before we go. Tell me one thing that you want to do that's on your bucket list that you want to accomplish this year.
This year,
Besides your trip with your mom.
my trip with my mom, yeah. I want to learn how to, and I know I got a couple friends who are going to chime in on this, but I want to learn how to surf. I was in Australia and people were like surfing, and I was like, this looks so cool. And like,
have you done it yet?
I've never done it. I haven't done it. I'm gonna wait for the
amazing.
water to get a little bit warmer. Obviously, this is
Wetsuit,
first,
wetsuit.
yeah, wetsuit. But I mean, I'm a first timer, so if it's too cold, it might traumatize me. I might never go back. So I need to warm up a little bit.
Go to Hawaii and do it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think just to be out and do something completely different that 10 years ago I would have never, 5 years ago I would have never imagined is I want to learn how to surf this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you just said it live, so now everybody's going to be asking you. I'm going to follow up with you and make sure you surf. Surfing is amazing too. Follow this amazing man, Thomas Williams. Go pick up pick up both of his books. And thank you so much for joining us here today. I can't wait to hear more. And I know that this is just scratching the surface of your life, and I can't wait to see it all unfold.
Yes. Thank you so much
for being here. And thank you so much for watching tonight, you guys. It's been a phenomenal show. You see me here every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the TLC Unleashed Show, Hollywood Vibes, Sports and Life. Have a great day and stay blessed. Bye. Thanks for